Imagine stepping into the ring and facing a man who could end a fight in less than a minute. A fighter so terrifying that opponents often lost before the first punch was even thrown. That was Mike Tyson. To some, he was a beast, an unstoppable force of nature. To others, he was a tragic figure whose personal struggles nearly destroyed him. But no matter how you see him, one truth remains. Mike Tyson changed boxing forever. This is the story of Iron Mike. From his troubled beginnings to becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Early life and childhood. Michael Gerard Tyson was born on June 30th, 1966, in Brooklyn, New York. His childhood was far from easy. Growing up in the rough neighborhoods of Brownsville and Bedford-Stuyvesant, Mike was surrounded by crime, poverty, and violence. His father left the family when he was just 2 years old, leaving his mother, Lorna Tyson, to raise him and his siblings alone. Life was a constant struggle, and young Mike often found himself in trouble. By the age of 13, he had already been arrested numerous times for petty crimes and street fights. But behind his troubled behavior was a boy searching for direction, and that direction came when he discovered boxing. Discovering boxing Mike's raw fighting ability was clear even as a child. He often fought older kids, and sometimes even grown men on the streets. His speed, power, and natural instincts were unlike anything people had seen in someone his age. At 13, he was sent to a reform school in upstate New York. There, a counselor noticed his talent for fighting and introduced him to a former boxer named Bobby Stewart. Impressed by Mike's raw power, Stewart brought him to legendary trainer Cus D'Amato. Meeting Cus D'Amato changed Tyson's life forever. Cus not only trained him, but also became a father figure. He instilled discipline, confidence, and a vision of greatness. Cus taught Mike the peekaboo style of boxing, hands high, constant movement, slipping punches, and delivering devastating counterattacks. Under Cus, Tyson transformed from a troubled teen into a focused warrior. Amateur career and rise through the ranks. Under D'Amato's guidance, Tyson's amateur career took off. He won numerous junior championships and quickly developed a reputation as a fighter to watch. His knockout power was so extreme that many fights ended in the first round. But Tyson's journey wasn't just about boxing skills. Cus D'Amato constantly reminded him of his potential. He once told Tyson, "You're going to be the youngest heavyweight champion of all time." Those words became a prophecy. Sadly, Cus D'Amato passed away in 1985 before seeing Tyson achieve his destiny. But Tyson carried his mentor's lessons with him, determined to fulfill the dream they had built together. Professional debut. Mike Tyson turned professional at just 18 years old in March 1985. His first fight lasted only 1 round. In fact, most of his early fights ended the same way. Brutal first-round knockouts. Tyson's combination of speed and power was unlike anything boxing had seen in decades. In his first year alone, he fought 15 times, winning all by knockout. He became a phenomenon, filling arenas and terrifying opponents. Fans loved him, and promoters saw him as the future of boxing, becoming the youngest heavyweight champion. The moment that defined Tyson's rise came on November 22nd, 1986. At just 20 years old, Mike Tyson faced Trevor Berbick for the WBC heavyweight title. In classic Tyson fashion, the fight didn't last long. Tyson's power was overwhelming, and he stopped Berbick in the second round. With that victory, Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history, fulfilling Cus D'Amato's prophecy. Over the next few years, Tyson unified the heavyweight division, winning the WBA and IBF titles and becoming the undisputed champion. His reign of dominance was unmatched, knocking out legends, overwhelming contenders, and striking fear into the hearts of his opponents. Tyson's style and aura. What made Tyson so dangerous wasn't just his punching power, it was his aura. When he walked into the ring, dressed in simple black trunks and boots, no robe, no music, just pure intimidation. His opponents often looked defeated before the bell rang. Tyson's peekaboo defense allowed him to slip punches and unleash devastating hooks and uppercuts. He fought with ferocity, but also with surprising technical skill. At his peak, Tyson wasn't just a brawler, he was a master of timing, footwork, challenges, and downfall. But while Tyson was unstoppable inside the ring, outside the ropes, his life was spiraling out of control. Fame, money, and the pressures of stardom began to take their toll. In 1990, one of the biggest upsets in sports history occurred. Tyson faced Buster Douglas in Tokyo. Tyson was expected to win easily, but Douglas fought with heart and determination, eventually knocking Tyson out in the 10th round. The defeat shocked the world and ended Tyson's aura of invincibility. Worse challenges followed. In 1992, Tyson was convicted of rape and sentenced to 6 years in prison, serving nearly 3. His time in prison nearly ended his career. The comeback. When Tyson was released in 1995, he attempted a comeback. The boxing world was still captivated by him, and he quickly regained 2 heavyweight titles. But something had changed. He was no longer the same disciplined, unstoppable fighter of the late 80s. In 1996, Tyson lost to Evander Holyfield in a dramatic fight. Their rematch in 1997 became infamous when Tyson bit Holyfield's ear, leading to his disqualification and suspension. The incident damaged his reputation and remains one of the most controversial moments in sports history. Later, career and retirement. Tyson continued to fight into the early 2000s, but his dominance was gone. He suffered defeats to Lennox Lewis, Danny Williams, and Kevin McBride before finally retiring in 2005. By then, his life had been a roller coaster of triumph and tragedy, from the youngest champion in history to prison, scandal, and financial troubles, redemption and legacy. But Mike Tyson's story doesn't end with his downfall. In later years, he reinvented himself. He became a successful author, podcaster, and even an actor. His one-man show gave audiences a raw and honest look at his life, filled with pain, mistakes, and redemption. He also became an advocate for mental health, openly discussing his struggles with depression, addiction, and self-control. Fans began to see him in a new light, not just as a fearsome boxer, but as a human being who had endured enormous highs and devastating lows. Today, Tyson is remembered as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. His record of 50 wins, 6 losses, and 44 knockouts speaks for itself. His impact on boxing is undeniable. He inspired a generation of fighters and brought mainstream attention back to the heavyweight division. Mike Tyson's journey is one of the most remarkable in sports. From a troubled kid in Brooklyn to the youngest heavyweight champion in history, his rise was meteoric. His fall was dramatic, and his redemption has been inspiring. Tyson once said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." That line sums up not only boxing, but also life. Mike Tyson lived a life full of punches. Some he delivered, others he received. But through it all, he remains a legend, a symbol of power, resilience, and survival. From the streets to the throne, from glory to despair, and back to redemption. That's the story of Iron Mike Tyson.